Nice to have everybody back today. Last week, you were not here, everybody. He was on vacation, hopefully having a good time while we were all slogging, probably working the whole time, knowing you, but
Well, it was not a vacation. It was work actually. I was you know it because I was in the Dominican Republic, so it's a safe assumption to say it's vacation. But we went down there. It was actually a paid trip
Mhm,
by the developer Noval Properties in the Dominican.
mhm,
They put us up in a beautiful resort.
mhm.
Myself and 20 others here from our local market where they're trying to penetrate to have Canadian buyers buy up their properties in the Dominican. So they
Right.
wanted to show, they toured us, and because we do a lot of new development and new construction, they invited us to come down, take a look at what they do, how they do it, what the real estate process is like down there.
Sure.
Uh, and it was quite eye-opening, and it was also fun. We went out a few nights out of the three.
Mhm.
So it was a lot of fun as well, but came back more tired than I than I wanted to,
Of
as,
course.
as typical.
Of course. No, that sounds awesome. Well, we're talking more and more about new home construction too at our end. So, it's always a great topic. At some point we'll get into that as well, I think, as a sort of dedicated day when we're in our coaching here on Mondays.
I would love that.
I think it would be awesome. There's so much great stuff happening that I think a lot of people, truthfully, probably, like all our topics, way more than just one day, but we'll go a lot deeper into that as we go forward. But so while you were away last week, I walked everybody through the concept of the growth levers, starting with the four that are inside of week one and why that matters, or week one in growth lever one, which is, warm outreach, cold outreach, paid, blah, blah. So those four that we're going to cover over the next few weeks. But I also talked about our new tracker. So that tracker is now completely done. Everybody can use that for their own if they
And
don't
it
have
looks great.
one. I think it came out nice, so hopefully that's useful to everybody. And if anybody's on the call that doesn't have it, it's in the chat. You can just drop in there and make a copy of it for yourself. And remember to customize it. It's just got fake numbers in there right now. So anything that's yellow, that's for you to customize. And of course, anything that's open field, you can play with. So that's kind of one of the other things we did last week. And then the other thing we talked about a little bit was this idea of sort of the 4x4 strategy. So applying the four growth levers for 4 hours every day. So we blocking our schedules and all that good stuff. So just to bring you up to speed, that's what we talked about. I think you probably already know that, but for anybody that wasn't here last week, go check out the replay. There's a good 20 minutes of just solid information on how to do this and what to look for and all that good stuff. So in the first growth lever, that breaks into four separate things. And the first one, obviously, because we believe, and probably everybody believes it's the most important, is the warm outreach one. But before we get to that, do you want to talk a little bit about sort of checking in and let's see how everybody did last week and see if
Yeah,
they were
I
able
mean,
to.
there's nothing more important than reflecting directly on the past week to get this week started.
Mhm.
The easiest way to do it is typically on a Sunday night. That's my routine. Sunday night, and I'll speak of this every single week. So if you've heard it before, you will hear it again and again and again, because that's what routine and discipline is about.
Mhm.
Sunday night, you need to take a look at what you missed.
Yeah.
You need to take a look at what you did well. You need to take a look at what did not work out so well.
Mhm.
And you need to prioritize what needs to happen for this week for you to hit your goal. So you start with a quick goal review. I wanted to talk to 20 people. Did you talk to 20 people? If you didn't, what caused you not to make those calls? What caused you not to take the meetings?
Right.
Eliminate the distraction. This isn't about feeling bad. This is about knowing why your business is performing the way your business is performing, whether it's good or bad.
Mhm.
Because when you figure out what's working good, you just keep doing that or do more of it. But
Mhm.
if you don't look back, you won't know what's working and what's not working.
Exactly.
So Sunday night, last night, for example, I had a couple of hours between 8 p.m. and 9, not even a couple hours. I worked for about an hour and a half after I put the kids to bed.
Mhm.
And I cleared my inbox going back a full week because I was in Dominican, I was here, I was there. Let me just make sure I didn't miss anything. And I also have the luxury of an assistant. So even though I have an assistant, I still go back to make sure that I didn't forget something, that I got back to everyone. My promise is that I get back to you. The reason people choose to work with me is because I communicate better than most. I'm not the best by any means, but I can tell you that there's not many people I don't get back to promptly. So that is crucial, and that's crucial to get done before Monday morning. So when we're having this call now, I know exactly what I'm working towards by the end of the week. I have a fresh set of 5 days to crush it. So take a look at what you've done, take a look at what you haven't done, and prioritize between the two as you should. Time block, get your work, get your reps in.
100%. Getting your reps in is a great way to think about it. But, you know, I think my favorite thing that I always try to remind myself of too is the remove distractions piece. Every single thing, you know, somebody, I don't remember who said this, but somebody said, if you look at your calendar, you can see where your priorities lie. So if your calendar is spending the day doing administration or doing things that avoid this sort of sales process, then obviously you've made that your priority. So you have to take control of your calendar and you have to do all these things that you're talking about for sure.
100%.
Yeah, I love that. So everybody think about this. If you're willing to share, you know, we want you guys to be interactive in this. So you are live with us. So please drop in how you did. Did you follow your time blocks? Did you, how many conversations, new conversations did you have? How many appointments did you book? Let's talk about this stuff. And as importantly, if you have anything that you want to tell us that you want help with any given week, that's what we're here for too. So Simeon is awesome at this. So if you want to bring your problems, we are real estate therapy over here, I guess, technically. So bring your problems from the week, just real estate ones, please. We don't want to hear anything else, but that would be awesome.
Great.
All right, so let's jump into, you know, we don't like to keep you guys too long on Mondays. So, but we've got some really good stuff on warm outreach. Before I get to that, I want to let you know about a couple of resources that we have available for you. The tracker we already talked about. I want to mention, we had a lot of people on the workshop last week, which was the simple path to multi-income stream real estate career. This was awesome. So if for some reason you did not make it to that, jump into the replays in the community and you can watch the whole thing and get all the resources on your own time. It's only an hour. It's really good. And I think you guys will feel that way when you check it out. If you don't already have more than one income stream, guys, please go check it out. Also last week, we gave you something called the Growth Levers Explained, which was lever number 1 in 4 parts, which what first part we're talking about today. The short URL for that is going inside of the chat right now. It is gohive.info/lever1. And then it's also obviously in your resources. So you guys know you can go in there anytime and find it there too. And the last thing I'm going to tell you about is a really interesting one. In fact, I'm going to talk to Simeon about whether we want to make this part of our focus for next week. But there is a boot camp that is about 4 or 5 hours long. It's an on-demand course inside of our library. And it is a how to build your pipeline to 100K using your existing database. This is a really fun couple of hours. I cannot tell you how important it is to go through this exercise. It's a lot of what we're going to be talking about today as well. Just gives you a
It
bit
really
more
is.
depth.
The relevance is very tight. Great job.
Awesome. And you'll see, I'll send it to you guys after as well. You know, we always follow up with an email, but for that one, you're going to need a code because that's a feed product. So we're going to give you a code for that one as well. And you'll be able to get it for, it's a $4.99 course. I'm giving it to you guys for $49. So that one unfortunately isn't free because it's with a different content partner, but that's about as cheap and cheerful as we can make it. So today, Simeon, would you agree that warm outreach is their number one lever for revenue if they do it right?
There's no doubt about it. And that is your CRM, that is your database, that is your existing audience, 100%.
Yeah. I want to know if you agree with this. One of our other coaches says that after 3 years in real estate, your business should be on 100% referrals. Do you think that's true?
I think it can be done very much so.
Yeah.
It's very true.
Yeah.
Very true. And that takes away the anxiety of the business. It's massive.
Mhm.
It's everything. But it also ties you to 100% responsible for your
Mhm.
outcome.
Right.
The reason somebody refers you is because you've done a great job, because you kept the promise of
Mhm.
service, because you exceeded someone's expectation,
Right.
not because they were an afterthought, they were just a transaction, just because you rolled out of bed and went to a showing. Just doesn't work that way. But can it be done? The answer is absolutely. How
Mhm.
many people do it? I think if you're talking about 100% of your business from referral, that's a 1%er for
For sure.
sure. But I think everybody can make sure that they have at least, 10. If you're in real estate full time, you should be doing nothing less than 20 transactions a year,
Mhm.
nothing less than 20 transactions a year. And if you are doing less, you are in the right place to understand how to look at the business properly.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
staying accountable to yourself is the only thing you need to do. Everything else is neither here nor there. Like
Absolutely.
talking about what you won't do is a waste of time.
Yeah.
But taking the knowledge and the skill set from somebody who's doing it, I'm not talking about myself, I'm talking about the myriad of value-driven humans out there. If somebody
Yeah.
gives you a good piece of advice and you don't take it, it's on you.
100%. Well, and
So,
I think the other thing that a lot of agents have trouble with, and this is true for everybody, this isn't just an agent thing. I think everybody in business struggles with this because it requires a lot of control and discipline to be this focused. But this idea of thinking about everything we're talking about, like even warm outreach, as a system, as a repeatable, consistent strategy in a system, not random check-ins, not you thought of somebody at 2 in the morning and remembered to send them a note. This
that's
is
right.
all about, how are you building conversations with people who already know you, trust you, or like you, and turning
That's right.
that into a system. And that's where the 4x4 thing, I think, can come in and really help everybody. You know, First thing you do every day, 4 hours, go
You damn
crazy.
right. You damn right. And the reason you're so right is because if you're here, it's because you want to do better. And if you're looking for advice, the biggest advice anyone can give is for you to remain focused.
Mhm.
For you to remain focused, unless you block off what needs to be done, it's
Yeah.
impossible to stay focused. If I were to open the door to this office that I'm in right now, people would be coming in like this.
Mhm.
Why? Because everybody has something to say. Even good morning. You have to block it. There's time to say good morning, but there's time to work, and there's time to think, and there's time to just take a moment. So all of this is imperative because of the type of work that we do. You do need time to decompress. You do need time to strategically think about your next move. You do need time to actually make the calls to connect. So I'm going to get into warm outreach right now, Sabine, because it's so
Awesome.
important.
Mhm.
Uh, and this is something that again, you've heard me say it before, whether you're using the Ford script, whether you're using anything you want. Right now, in my business, our goal for this year is to do 400 deals, which is half of what we did in 2021. But
Mhm.
we're on track to do less. The market is that slow where I am, and I'm in Toronto, Ontario.
Mhm.
So I know North America is slow right now as a result of tariffs and all this madness, and they've paralyzed the economy. But we don't control that. What we do control is our actions and what they generate. People have to sell and buy real estate right now. How do we put ourselves in front of them? That is the question that you need to ask. And the only way to do so is by getting in their way, period. If you are a secret agent that doesn't put a message out there, you're going to get the results that exactly you deserve, which will be nil. But if you were to decide to take action, you are going to get the result that you deserve again, which is deals. How do you do that? Well, right now, I have 2 inside callers. I have an email campaign all launching an event. So this is my way of doing business. You can do it in any other way.
Mhm.
But on April 24th, for example, at my office, I'm hosting up to 75 people live to learn about additional dwelling units, legislation that changed, zoning that changed in our city to create density. And this is across North America. Adding a laneway home, a garden suite, etc., that can give your clients absolute more cash flow from existing assets they already own. You don't want to sell them a property. The biggest thing we said in our in our marketing campaign is you're not coming here to buy anything. As a matter of fact, it's the reverse. We're not looking to sell you our home. We're looking to introduce you to a concept that will put $3,000 a month, for example, in your pocket every month by spending a third of what you would have to do with a regular purchase. Spending $250,000 to add a garden suite in your backyard that can generate $2,500 a month in revenue does not compare to having to spend $1 million for that same income, because we live in Toronto, big urban market, way overpriced, very difficult to cash flow it. So in a time like this where people are really clamped down economically, it makes perfect sense for them to create more revenue from an existing asset. So this is how we get loud to educate and make contact, not only on the night, but for the last 2 weeks and for the next 2 weeks until the event, 10 days, whatever's left. We're calling. We're talking hundreds of calls a day.
Yeah.
Saying, Sabina, please attend my event. It's going to be awesome. There's going to be wine, there's going to be cheese, there's going to be some learning, but more importantly, call your friends, invite your friends. Everybody should know what they can do. And that's where we bring a strategic partner, and they have all the heavy lifting. They're going to be presenting. So you can do things that are interesting, that get people's attention. If you are new to residential real estate, what can you do? You can call your friends and just speak to them. Have conversations. Have a vested interest in their life. If you don't care about other people or your people, you simply will not succeed. You have to care. And you have to be genuine. And you have to be there. But if you don't make those phone calls, if you don't send those emails, if you don't respond back, it's not going to happen. Warm outreach is always about your database. That's warm. They know you. Cold outreach is a whole different game. But warm outreach is the people, excuse me, who know you, trust you, have done business with you before, or can't wait to do business with you now. But you have to get your message in front of them, and you have to be consistent and omnipresent.
Awesome. I think, what's interesting to me, there's a couple of things that you said that I think are elements that everybody should really realize how critical this is. Like, for instance, an event strategy, an education strategy like that. This is education marketing, which is one of the highest value marketing methods that you can apply in any business. So whether you're a real estate agent or not, going to your warm list, and in some cases cold, using education as a way to help them, teach them something, show thought leadership from you. Now you're the one leading. You can then turn that into a million other things too, by the way, which is the other thing I wanted to mention. Every time you do something like this, you can turn that into future social posts. You can turn it into interviews. You can create a podcast, blogs, you name it. There's so much that you can do with that information. Plus, you can pull out testimonials. Talk to the people that went. What did they think of it? Can you use it in your marketing? Will they allow you? A lot of them will. You'd be surprised. So just as a sort of side piece to that, there's an awful lot that can come out of running education of any kind. And it doesn't have to be, 100 people with wine and cheese. You can do something if you don't have the budget for that. You can do something smaller, but if you are continually putting things in front of your people, especially stuff like that, ADUs are very timely, not everywhere because legislation hasn't caught up everywhere 100%. It's getting there. It is absolutely getting there. We know that's a thing of the future. In fact, we're working on building a program for that right now. So I personally think that's really useful information, Simeon. Now,
well, thank you. But that's just one example of what's happening in my world right this second.
Yeah.
Not every team is set up the way I am. Not every market has the same opportunities. But
Right,
this is where strategic thinking comes in.
right.
You know what you have. If you're a new agent with 100 people on your phone, if you're a 10-year agent with 1,000 people on your phone, well, there's two different strategic plans there. One is the first one is you need to get more people on your phone. So spend
Mhm.
more time on cold outreach to develop new relationships. If you have
Right.
1,000 people on your phone, you don't need to spend a single dollar on marketing. You need to get on your phone. All the deals are right there.
That is literally the core of that program, that $100,000 pipeline program. Adding another 100 grand is just using your personal database, period.
You got it.
Yeah. Well, the other thing to think about too, I thought was, if you, again, because we're trying to help everybody systemize this kind of stuff, one of the ways that I was sort of thinking about it is if you're going to spend 1 hour of your 4 hours every day on warm outreach, at least one, then what if we broke each day of the week into different types of warm outreach, depending on what you have? Not everybody has all 5 of these, but like one could be past clients, another could be refers if you have enough of them. You could have one day that's vendors and partners, people that you want to partner with. There's loads of people like that. Old leads, obviously, and maybe that's 2 days for some people if you have a lot of them. And then the other one, of course, is your sphere, your friends, people that you already are touching in some form or another, and figuring out based on what you've got in your database, how many of those slots each of those should take. If you don't have any past clients, obviously we move on. But that might be a way to sort of break out your week too, if you want to systemize things.
There's a myriad of ways. There's a myriad of ways. And everybody should just think like the example that you gave with vendors and partners.
Mhm.
If you're in residential real estate in your own neighborhood, if you don't have cards and a relationship with your dry cleaner, with the grocery, with the pharmacy, with a home hardware store, depends where you are, how big your market is.
Mhm.
If you're downtown New York City, you can't have these types of relationships. It's transient and busy. If you're in a small town, you can have all the relationships. But depending on your market, partner with a restaurant. If you want to do an event to bring people in, go to the local restaurant, say, hey, would you mind sponsoring the first beer for my clients? And I'll put 40 people in your restaurant today.
Mhm.
But I want to be able to say the first beer is on me, and I don't have the budget to do that.
Right.
But I can bring 40 people to your restaurant. Would you like that? As an ex-restaurateur, I can tell you that I can guarantee you that I would do that. Because nobody goes to a restaurant for one beer. They are going to eat, they're going to drink, they're going to spend money, they're going to spend time in my place. I'm making a decision that, yes, I would love to partner with you, Sabina the realtor, and have your people come to my restaurant on Saturday morning for brunch or for whatever the case. Give a complimentary mimosa, whatever.
Right.
But it's a way to do things, and that becomes not only warm outreach, it becomes raving fans. And you've probably heard those words before. Turning cold prospects into raving fans is the name of the game, because only a raving fan will only give you a referral. Somebody has to believe in you, have experienced something different that they enjoy and like, and that's the
Mhm.
whole point of this exercise.
100%. And remember, go back to what we taught the other day on the Ford script. I mean, there's all the content, there's the outreach ideas. There's so many ways that you could do something like reigniting a relationship with, curiosity or relevance or genuine care, or could be maybe the life transition of some kind that you know about. Like, there's just so much stuff that you could use to be genuine in that outreach too. If you're not running an event, then that's the other way to go. So I think that's really exciting. Um, we can talk about this later, but the other thing to think about too is maybe you've got some ideas on this, Simeon. What about sort of keeping everything organized as they go? So if you're doing, 50 a day, let's say, or whatever your number is in this 4 hours, and they're different ones with, some are vendors and some are this and some are that. How are you using your CRM to keep this organized?
Well, I work out of my CRM.
Right.
So I add context to my CRM, and I tag people. So very simply put, like the restaurateur down the street is going to be as strategic partners
Yeah.
in the same area where mortgage brokers are. These are my vendors. These are the B2B relationships. This is where
Right.
I give them business and for the hope and wish that they give me business back in reciprocity.
Sure.
So it's called community support, right? So
Mhm.
you tag those people as such. So when you do want to do a campaign once a week or once a month, to all your vendors touching base, hey Joe the appraiser, how are things coming along? Hi Lisa the pharmacist, how are things coming along? And you just touch base because not only do they have real estate needs, they might know people too. Is there anybody in your circle that's poking around for real estate? Oh yeah, I just had somebody, whatever. Okay, this is
Mm.
good, but you go through the same steps with everyone consistently.
Yeah.
But that's how you would do it in a CRM. So always work. If you don't have a CRM, uh, that's
Well, there are free ones, guys. So if you're at the beginning of your stage, there's free ones you can use too. So, but he's right. That's probably one of the most
there's no
important things.
excuse. If you're not
Yeah.
working out of a CRM, you cannot expect to build a real business. Period.
Yeah, it's too hard to do in any other tool. So if you're living in
Real estate has
Excel
just
or
become too
whatever,
complicated. Real
yeah,
estate is not what it used to be.
right,
Right now, you're wearing at least 10 hats as a realtor. Minimum,
right.
minimum.
Well, the
From
other thing,
yeah.
I'm sorry, Simeon, please go ahead.
No, just from transaction coordination alone is insane cumbersome.
Right.
Representations, agency, come on, it's crazy. You have to have a CRM, you have to have a process in the back end so you can focus only on making phone calls and building new business. Period.
Exactly. 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 Well, the other thing, I don't know if every agent knows this, but CRM tools, many of them come with automations. So in essence, what that means is not only is it the old school stuff where it reminds you to follow up with somebody, but it will follow up for you. So if you can feed the engine with content that is strong, it will do a lot of the work for you and start to act like a silent salesperson for you. So keep that in mind. This idea of having different types of tools that are in the market act like a silent salesperson is one way to add leverage to your business. And obviously the other is what Simeon has done by adding people. So he has team and EA, once you're at the point where you can do that, then obviously, look at how you're spending your money. And if you're spending a lot of money on admin tasks that don't make any money, then obviously those are the sorts of things that you start to try to delegate first, but whole other conversation. So maybe what we could talk about if you want, Simeon, since we're wrapping up here slowly, given sort of, the activities, the high level activities that relate to warm outreach. We've already talked to, sort of the warm part. If they were to sort of move forward and add something into their plan this week, we know number one is obviously the time blocking exercise if they haven't done that already and actually committing to doing the warm outreach in the first place. Do you have any other suggestions for probably the highest
Yeah, I
value
do. Yeah,
stops
I
or
do.
starts?
I would say what everybody can do, because this can be done universally. It doesn't have to be a specific event. So the way we do it is we try to make it easy for our callers. Because people are like, what do I say? Like, what am I calling for? So create an article, go on the news, find something that you want to comment on. So let's say you've never done this before. No problem.
Mhm.
Right now, go to your local news and look at latest, trendiest news topic for real estate in my local area. It's going to come up with a list of things. Pick an article. Pick an article, any article. Don't have ChatGPT write it. You write your commentary.
Mhm.
Write your thoughts. Run them through ChatGPT thereafter to present them better. But they have to be your thoughts and your emotion because it has to be authentic. Put that into a beautiful email and send it to everyone you know. Not with the expectation that that's warm outreach, but your warm outreach is then, Sabina, I'm calling you because I sent you an email yesterday. Did you receive it? Easy. I'm not calling you because I want to sell you something. I don't care if you're my best friend. I sent you an email yesterday. I'm your best friend. Why are you calling me? Because I want your opinion. Is it a good email for my clients?
Yeah. Or is it this is something I really think you needed to know or
Correct. But
whatever.
but there is nobody that you shouldn't call.
Right.
People always make excuses. Oh, I can't call this person. I don't know him that well. I can't call this person because no. Send him the article, ask for his opinion. Did you like the email that I sent you? Did it give you value? Do you feel great about it? Great, awesome. Would you do that or this or that, whatever the article says? Let
Mhm.
them speak. Hear them out. Okay, well, that's all I had to say. I just want to see how you're doing, my man. Anybody you don't need any real estate? Anything at all? Close off the call.
Yep.
Warm outreach can be created anytime. Don't look for excuses why not to. Look for excuses and value as to how to.
And something that is genuine to you, authentic to you. So you actually care about it too, or you care about it for them, or whatever it is. But that
100%.
that is such a great technique. It falls under, I always love this term, it's called newsjacking. So this is the idea of, grabbing exactly what you said. I think anybody doing that could have, let's face it, these days, there's so much content out there. So much content. It is so easy for you to find something that
Yeah.
not
It
only
also shows that you're following the news. It
it
makes you
does.
look like you're current and you care, right?
Right. Well, your example of the ADUs is a great one. There's been so many stories about legislation changing on ADUs that if you're in an area and that's one of the things you want to talk about, maybe that, they've changed legislation to make it easier. Like I know, for instance, in some places, like in Toronto and other big cities, they're making laneway garages now
Into homes,
convertible.
laneway
You can
homes.
convert them. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if that's happening in your city, then that's an awesome thing to talk about, or who knows, but there's
Because
endless.
you're leading that not because it's awesome, not because of it's in the news. It's in the news, so now we can make it everyone's business.
Right.
But your message as the realtor is that, hey, I don't need to sell you real estate for you to make more money.
Right.
But if people are going to come to my event and connect with, in this case, they're called packed homes, PACD. Packed homes is going to give me a commission for putting that deal together.
Mhm.
So there is my client winning, packed homes is winning, and I sure as heck am winning too.
Right.
And what you're doing is you're creating opportunity. And this is doing it with people who you know, you like or love, that they trust you and know you. This is the way. That's all I
100%.
got for you.
I'm with you. I'm with you. Well, I think for me, the key takeaway of everything that I was thinking about on this topic was that most agents think they need new leads, but the next 3 deals, let's say, are almost always already in your phone. So I think that's the simplest, sort of coolest way to think about this. Work it.
No doubt about it.
Work it. All right. Well, let's talk just briefly about homework. So anything else that they should be doing this week that you can think of?
No, take a look at what you didn't finish last week. Get on your goals. Take a look through that quarterly tracker.
Mhm.
There's a tremendous amount of value in that. If you already have a tool of its sort, use it. Just like CRMs, the best CRM on the market is the one that you actually use. So
Yeah.
don't look for any reason not to get it done. Holding yourself accountable is the only way to grow.
Yeah.
You have to put in the reps to get the results. It's just that simple. So let this Monday be the Monday that drives your week the way you want it to.
Mhm.
Uh, that's all I have for you, Sabina.
Well, I think that's plenty because I think at this point, there's so much work to be done by everybody that, helping everybody with this sort of information is a great start. So thank you again, as always. And next week, I'm not sure if we're going to go further into warm outreach or if we're going to move into cold, but you and I will figure that out. And in the meantime, everybody have your best week ever, 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 ever. We can't wait to hear about it.
100%. God bless everyone. Have a
Ciao,
great and
ciao.
productive week. We'll talk.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.